What's up? It's Ben from WODprep. We're here with Dr. CJ DePalma and Jesse Sheriff, both WODprep coaches, and we are here at the WODprep World Coaching Summit in London, Ontario. So chances are, if you've been doing CrossFit or functional fitness for any extended period of time, you've run into some tweaks, some pain, some injuries that might seem to linger around for a long period of time. And hopefully today, we're going to give you some things to think about and some tools on how to fix it and how to improve it. But really quick, if you haven't yet, make sure you go to WODprep.com and download one of our free training guides. We have free training guides for pretty much all of the tougher CrossFit skills that will help you improve your movement and hopefully stay injury-free. But let's talk about injury. So first, Jesse, I know that you program for people. You have a bunch of athletes that you program remotely for online. What approach do you take when they come back and say, hey, Jesse, the other day I tweaked something in my upper back doing a snatch? Like, it's the end of the world, I can't do anything. How do you approach that?
First step is actually discovering what that something is and what that tweak is, because sometimes the perception of pain or discomfort or isn't actually an injury. It's just, weren't warmed up properly or didn't approach the movement properly, right? So that's step one. Step two, if it's clear that this person has suffered some sort of acute injury, we get on a call right away, and preferably a video call so I can see them moving, and we establish where the painful ranges are, and then I can program based on their pain-free ranges of motion, right? It's important for us to continue improving their fitness where they can, right? So say it's an elbow injury like I had, we can continue squatting, we can continue working the legs, we can continue running as much as CrossFitters hate running. We can continue running and do those sorts of things and challenge and build a progression based on those movements. So a strength progression for squatting or a progression for a 5K run or something. That's going to give us a start, a progression, and a finish as a sort of an assessment to make sure that that person's feeling fulfilled in their training. In terms of the injury itself, I'm not a professional in that realm, so I have to refer out to somebody like CJ.
It's so true that like a lot of people will avoid doing anything. Like let's say I tweak my upper back, which I've done before, like various, not warming up usually is a problem. And I tweak something, I get like a crampy feeling in my upper back that won't go away. Maybe I can't turn my neck. And the initial gut reaction is like, oh, I can't do anything, right? I'm not going to go to the gym. I can't do anything. But can I squat? Yeah, I can squat. Can I run? Can I hop on an air bike and even not use my arms? Yes, I can do all of that. So that's where it's really valuable to have a coach, whether it's the coach that goes to your current gym or, an even better solution if you're someone who struggles with injuries and tweaks or has some pre-existing nastiness, is to have an individual programmer, right? To have someone who is a professional like these two that can say, hey, if this movement causes pain, let's do this instead, but I still want you to follow this programming. And that helps keep you in the gym and get you through the pain a lot quicker than just laying on the couch and doing nothing, right? So let's move it over to Dr. CJ, and I keep saying doctor because I don't want you guys to forget that he is a doctor. He has kind of specialized for WODprep on helping people train through pain and helping them get through these what they think are really bad injuries and help them train around it. And he's going to share a little bit about his philosophy on how to do that.
You guys hit I think the most important parts on the head is the first one was like pain perception. Just because you're in pain does not mean you're injured. There are two different things. Tissue injury and pain have a very, or tissue dysfunction, meaning like you had an MRI, you had an X-ray, and it showed something. And pain actually have a very, very low correlation. Plenty of people in their, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s have positive MRI results or imaging results of some fashion that show degenerative disc, bulging disc, thickening of rotator cuff, things like that, but they have no symptoms. So that's the first thing, is like understanding that just because you have pain doesn't mean you have an injury, or just because an MRI says something doesn't mean that you also should be feeling pain. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, you have an acute injury or you have something that's kind of persistent, chronic, naggy, whatever it is. Rest is, unless you have like a broken bone, a ruptured tendon, something that's like very, very high level traumatic, rest is probably going to be a negative effect on your healing process, because it actually alters hormone production, endorphin, increases cortisol levels, which reduce our ability to heal, increases things like depression, and decreases just a positive atmosphere in the human, which help healing. Also, blood flow. Blood flow is how we get all of our nutrients to the area. So if we're not doing anything, our blood flow isn't as consistent. The viscosity or the fluidity of our blood is much less are just not as good. So those are the first couple things. So no rest. Don't freak out if you do have pain. Now, once you do have pain and you're still trying to train, okay, we'll use squatting as an example. I think it's a really good one. Knee patellar tendonitis. Okay, so tendonitis is inflammation of the tendon, or they call it patellofemoral pain syndrome. Basically, when you squat, you have knee pain either in the front of the knee or on the top of your knee. It hurts when you squat, lunge, run, things like that. It's been going on for a year. I think that's pretty common. A lot of people have it. What do? How do you get rid of it? Well, we attack and we find the specific things that hurt. Okay, and normally it's things like dynamic movements, clean snatches, running, lunging. Okay, so what we do at the Movement Doctor, and then what we started doing with WODprep athletes, is we take those movements and we whittle them down into their most basic forms. So tempo squatting, maybe less range of motion on lunging. Normally we take out jumping completely, and we start to work positions and holds and tempo movements. And what that can do is if it's tendonitis or tendinopathy, the tendon, we still have to strengthen the tendon. So we still have to challenge it. We don't want to avoid it completely. So with that, in a nice controlled manner, the pain will start to decrease on its own because the body's adapting to whatever the stimulus is. But the dynamic motions, the dynamic movements are what keep that pain there, even though we know the tendon never actually changes back through imaging and research, etc. But the pain starts to go away. Okay, and we believe it happens because we're challenging it, but within what I call the stress window. Okay, so the window, right? So we know stress is how we get better, stronger, faster at everything. It's how we gain intelligence and everything under the sun. We have to stress ourselves enough to change, but we have to stress ourselves. There's a minimum of that. If we don't stress ourselves enough, we don't challenge ourselves enough, we'll never create any change. Right? We stress ourselves enough, we create positive change. Now this window alters based on pain, injury, etc., prior function, things like that. So this ceiling effect here means anything over this is too much stress at one time. So our body might not respond well enough. So we want to stay within the window. But once we're in pain, the window closes. So we end up blasting through this ceiling every time we come into a CrossFit gym and we train just a little bit too hard. We're probably doing the right things, just maybe not in the right fashion. Yeah. Okay. So we tone it down a little bit, use the same things that are causing us pain as our interventions of our rehab protocols. We just tone them down normally to tempo, controlled, take away the time modality of the CrossFit workouts. Not as
heavy, I assume.
Not as heavy, yep. Anything that's going to whittle it down to a easier form, and then we start there, and then we climb the steps back up.
Just totally pulling out and resting completely isn't beneficial. It actually could hurt you more than it could help you. But blasting through the pain window, you might have done the same thing. I know I have, where let's say my knee's feeling a little funky, and then one day I'm feeling great. Well, time to hit a new 1 rep max back squat, and then all of a sudden it comes back. It's stupid. Jesse, you probably see the same thing. Like, as soon as someone's feeling good, they just try to go back to 100%. It's really important to have someone who's smart, someone who can help you work through at a slow, steady progression so that you can eventually expand that window instead of keeping that window small. If you are someone who's dealing with pain and might be interested in having one of these guys specifically program around your pain with programming you already follow by tweaking it, or by giving you the exact program they would recommend, a totally customized approach, these guys are ready. All you have to do is email me at support@wodprep.com, and what we'll do is we'll ask you a few questions, and then if it looks like a good fit, we're going to hop on an hour-long complimentary coaching call with you to make sure that it's a good fit and make sure that we're helping you achieve your goals. So if you want that, make sure you email support@wodprep.com. If individualized coaching, if you're just like, hey man, I want to get better at a couple different skills, go to WODprep.com. We have lots of free training guides for you to download. Last but not least, thumbs up if you like the video, thumbs down if you're not digging these roundtable discussions. And the question of the day for you is, what is the most nagging injury that keeps popping up in your training? For me, I already kind of gave it as an example. It's my upper back. On this side of my upper back, sometimes I'll get a tweak, and it hasn't been around for a long time, but honestly, if I have a good warm-up, it almost never seems to show up.
I've got a wrist injury from a missed clean years ago that I still struggle with, but again, it's getting better. It's just taking a long time, but we're expanding the window.
I have an elbow injury that I'm dealing with right now. It's fairly recent, and sometimes I'm better at giving advice than taking advice. So I have a very small window right now. Yeah.
Oh, it is difficult. It's easier said than done. He's a very high level athlete, and I'm sure it's torture for you sometimes to back it down. So if you're struggling with an injury, leave a comment below, and we'll hopefully be in the comments and can maybe give you some advice. And again, if you want that individualized attention, email us, and we can possibly make it happen. Peace.